Hey YouTube, what is up? Before this video gets started, I'm actually in a competition to be the next great Yugi tuber. I'm in the semifinals. My video just got posted, and in order to win this round, I need likes on that video. So I'm posting the video in the annotation above. All you gotta do is click that annotation, and then the video brings you to. Just give that video a like if you want me to win that round. If I win the finals of this whole thing, I actually get a better webcam, so I can make some better videos for you guys. Thank you to any of you guys that voted for me in the previous round, and anybody that votes for me in this round. I greatly appreciate it, and with that being said, let's get into the actual video. Hey YouTube, what is up? This is my more focused ABC build. This is my consistency focused ABC deck. I do run desires in this. This isn't by any means a budget deck. So with that in mind, here we go. I added a little bit of cards since Invasion of Vengeance, but a lot of stuff does stay the same just because of the way the deck is. The deck's nature in and of itself allows you to run 2 gold and 2 silver. I don't like to run 3 and 3. I feel like that makes you clog a little too much. I was playtesting 3 of one, 2 of the other, and that wasn't too bad, and I might switch to that in the future. But for now, I'm still digging the 2 and 2. I feel like 3 and 3 was way too cloggy and led to me making a lot of subpar rank 4 plays because I had nothing else. I also play 3 Photon Thrasher. Photon Thrasher is my favorite card to open. This card is a lot better than the gadgets in my mind because the gadgets are really susceptible to being interrupted. They can strike the effect and then you wasted your normal summon. If they do something like use Effect Veiler, it wastes your normal summon. You can't get a lot off. Special summoning Photon Thrasher, there really isn't much they can do to respond to that, and that's why I like it. I also run Rhoda for that exact reason, just for a little bit more consistency with the deck, and so I can guarantee I see Photon Thrasher or one of the gadgets turn 1. Optimally, I do want Photon Thrasher though. And then for the standard part of the deck, 3A, 3B, and 3C. I don't think I need to explain why I run 3 of all these cards. It seems pretty obvious, you know, just to make the Dragon Buster as much as possible, and so that I could make the most out of my desires. Although I do hate when I banish all 3 of one type of card. I have banished 3C, 3B, 3A, all off of first turn desires in the past, and that shit hurts to try and play out of, because it's almost impossible without some of the spicy techs I'm going to mention later. As for the spells, like I said before, this deck is very focused on consistency, so I play 1 Upstart Goblin and 3 Pot of Desires. Now, I really like the Upstart in the deck. It's a 40 card deck. This isn't 41 with Upstart, though you could do that just because it's a card to banish off of Pot of Desires, and then it doesn't, you know, affect your deck in any way if you lose your Upstart. But I do like running 1 Upstart. It just lets me get to my pieces faster. If I go second, yeah, Upstart's kind of dead in hand until I can activate it on my turn. But the thing is, I'd rather be able to get to my pieces faster and give my opponent a little bit of life points than not get to my pieces at all. If I have something like a Twin Twister in hand, which I do run 3 of, it's really good because I can just ditch the Upstart. It's a useful card, and you could just ditch it for a lot of stuff, especially ABC Dragon Buster, so it's really never dead, and if you don't want to use it, you have options to get rid of it and pretty much get effects off for free. I then also run 1 Rhoda, like I said before, because this is focused on consistency, as well as 3 Terraforming. The Rhoda, it pretty much is self-explanatory, just so you can get Photon Thrasher to your hand turn 1. I really do see why they limited this card to 1. With 3, you get Photon Thrasher to your hand pretty much guaranteed every turn. Same thing with Terraforming to get your Union Hangers, and that's why I like to run these cards. They really don't have a use other than searching out other cards in the deck, but it just enables me to get to my combo pieces quicker, and it actually allows me to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because if you don't open Union Hanger in this fucking game, you pretty much lose with ABCs. So yeah. And then mentioning Union Hanger, I play 3 Union Hanger. And as a little bit of a spicy tech, I've dropped Book of Eclipse to 1 in my deck. I don't like running more than 1 at this point. Union Hanger is really good. You need to open this optimally. Book of Eclipse is really good for outing things that you just can't normally get over, or if your opponent has something like a Kieran, you could force their effects. If they have ABC Dragon Buster, you can force their effects. I use it as a 1 of because when I was running 2 and 3 in my deck, I saw it way too often, and it caused me to clog way too much. I don't like resolving 2 Book of Eclipse in 1 turn if that's my only play to stop the battle phase from going off, because then I pretty much lose because of how much my opponent would draw off of it. Now, like I said, I like to make this deck a little more consistent than my last one, so I'm running 2 Insta-Fusion. I had 2 in my other build as well. I dropped it down to 1. I'm putting it back up to 2. Seeing this pretty much opening turn or the turn after is really good, especially because of other cards I run in this deck. If you can get Norden to Grave, you have a lot of plays. I then, like I said before, also run 3 Twin Twister. This is if I have to go second or if I'm going first against something like Pendulums. It's really handy. If I'm going first, I use this just to pop Pendulum Scales or back row. If I'm going second, I use this to pop back row before anything, because if I'm playing ABCs and they have set back row, it's either going to be an anti-spell or a strike or a warning, and I don't want to run into any of those, so I usually just get rid of them with Twin Twister. And now onto my traps. I actually have done away with using anti-spell. It's burned me a little bit too much in the past, so I run 1 Vanity's Emptiness, as well as 2 Dimensional Barrier, which is basically just a more focused Vanity's Emptiness combined with Effect Veiler. It stops monster effects of the declared type, and it stops special summons of the declared type. So you could declare Pendulum, no Pendulum effects go off. You could declare Xyz, no Xyz effects go off. Against Heralds, if you call Rituals, they pretty much lose. So it's a really good card. I like it that it doesn't stop me that much. Vanities locks me me a little bit, but I could just play any card in my deck and then, you know, activate Rhoda and Vanity's Die. So it's not that hard to get out of. Anti-spell though, if I leave that up on myself and my opponent has the ability to actually get rid of my Union Hanger or something like that, it just slows my deck down immensely. So I'd rather focus on getting rid of an anti-spell than locking myself with one. E-Barrier is much more versatile in my mind. I also run 2 Solemn Strikes. I don't do 3 anymore. I was clogging a little bit too much when I was running like 8 or 9 traps. I felt like that was way too much and I was just drawing them way too often. Optimally, you want to draw these after you use Bujintai Tsukiyomi or in your hand with Bujintai Tsukiyomi and a monster in hand, so that you could just set these, use Bujintai, draw into more traps and set them, because this game pretty much relies on going first. So if you don't go first and you don't draw a strike, you pretty much lose. But if you draw too many strikes and you don't have any combo pieces, you also do lose. So that's why I chose to do 2 instead of 3. And then for my spicy tech, I like to main deck 2 Oasis of Dragon Souls. So say they Gameciel'd you and they think they have you beat, they leave the Gameciel on board, you special summon ABC Dragon Buster in your end phase, tag it out in their end phase. They can't really respond because none of their traps are active yet because they just set them this turn, and it allows you to play out from there. You can also use Oasis of Dragon Souls to dodge something like System Down. If you have ABC Dragon Buster on the field, you tag out, chain Oasis, bring it back as a worm, System Down resolves, the pieces get banished, but that doesn't matter because then you have a new ABC Dragon Buster on board that's a worm, doesn't get banished by System Down. You can tag that one out too on this turn because it's counted as a new ABC Dragon Buster, and you can use its effect to discard to banish. So that's why I like to main deck 2 of these, because a lot of people are main decking Gameciels. You could also use this to bring back something like Norden or the gadgets to go into more rank 4 capabilities. All in all, I've never been disappointed when I open Oasis of Dragon Souls. It's also stopped me from getting OTK'd a lot because I special summon a gadget in defense position, and then if they decide to destroy my gadget, the monster's effect does go off. So usually they decide to let it be, which is actually really nice, and it allows me to recover on my turn. Now for my extra deck, for my fusions, I play 1 Elder Entity Norden just for the insta fusions, and I play 3 ABC Dragon Buster. I don't know why people play less than this. I've seen some people playing 2, which is absolutely ridiculous. You need as many as possible to go into. If you get Ghost Cherries, obviously you almost auto lose unless you have the ability to get cards back with something like Pot of Acquisitiveness, but 3 ABC is literally a must in this deck. You need the ability to tag out at least 3 times a game. Sometimes you actually have to Daigusto Emerald these back so you can tag out even more, but yeah, you really need to be able to go into Dragon Buster whenever you want, and using 2 just limits yourself. I've seen people playing weird hybrid builds with like Metal Foes where they run 2, and maybe it works for that deck, but unless you're playing a weird hybrid, I would never run 2 ABC Dragon Buster. You really do need 3. And now for my rank 4s, I play 1 Abyss Dweller just because it stops the mirror match, stops Burning Abyss, stops a lot of shit from going off. If I can't go optimally turn 1, I'll try and make an Abyss Dweller in the mirror match. That way they don't get their search off B and they can't make Buster as well. It allows me to do a lot of things, and it basically just stalls my opponent where I normally wouldn't be able to. I run 1 Bujintai Tsukiyomi because this is pretty much your only turn 1 play to get ABC Dragon Buster out. You get to go +1 off of it optimally, which is really, really good. It allows you to draw into your back row. It's a really versatile card. Some people are playing 2. I haven't tried it. I have the ability to play 2, but I haven't done it. I might playtest that because late game Bujintai Tsukiyomi to draw 2 more cards might actually be really, really useful, but I'll have to see. I then run 1 Castel just to force my opponent to tag out with ABC Dragon Buster and stuff of the like, basically forcing them to tag out with something like Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. It's something I do before I bring out my ABC Dragon Buster. And speaking of plays you do before Dragon Buster, I also run 2 Diamond Direwolf. This is the optimal thing to do before you have a Dragon Buster on the field. You tag out in your opponent's end phase, make 2 Diamond Dyers, pop both their back row, and then go into ABC Dragon Buster and push for game. It's a really satisfying thing. Diamond Dyer can also pop a dead Bujintai Tsukiyomi that has no more Xyz materials under it. If you don't want to let a Bujintai Tsukiyomi just sit on the field, you can use Diamond Dyer to pop this, and then you have Diamond Dyer in attack position with 2000 attack, which is not something to laugh at. It actually has push for game before, because normally I'll attack once with Dragon Buster, punch for 3k. On the next turn, I'll do Diamond Dyer, pop Bujintai, and then have ABC and Diamond Dyer punch for exactly 5k, which is exactly game, and it really has come in handy. Not many people expect the second Diamond Dyer, and it has come up a lot more often than I thought, but you can get away with running 1, especially with some of the techs I'm going to be showing you in a second. I also then run 1 Daigusto Emerald, just to recycle back stuff, just to put my ABC Dragon Busters back in the extra deck, put my Norden back in the extra deck just in case I open an Insta-Fusion and it's dead. I can use Daigusto Emerald to go +1, use Insta-Fusion, bring back Norden, and then make another Xyz play before I bring out Dragon Buster for the 3rd or 4th time. Daigusto Emerald is literally just your late game grind. I do 1 Rhapsody in Berserk just to get rid of my opponent's materials in their graveyards if I'm playing the ABC Mirror Match. Banishing 2A on them while they have 1 already banished is pretty much game. They can't really play out of it unless they have something like Pot of Acquisitiveness or Union Scramble. They're really not going to be able to play out of that. Plus, once you use its effect, which you can use twice in a turn, so you can banish 2 cards in 1 turn, you can equip it to any other Xyz monster. If you equip it to Daigusto Emerald, it becomes a 3k beatstick. If you equip it to something like Bujintai Tsukiyomi, also becomes a 3k beatstick. Equip it to Castel, he's 3200, could swing over an ABC Dragon Buster. It actually has a lot of uses, and that's why I don't think I'd ever cut the card. I also run one Gear Gigant X just to set up my grind game. If my opponent and I are going at it, Gear Gigant is a really good card to bait your opponent out. If they know you're getting a material to your hand they don't want you to have, they're going to actually strike the Gear Gigant. So it's a good way to bait out back row before you go for a bigger power play like bringing out ABC Dragon Buster or something similar. I like Gear Gigant though because if they let it rock, I actually get to search a gadget and a monster all in 2 turns, and then I get to go off, which is really nice. And then I could equip a Rhapsody and Berserk to that Gear Gigant and make it a 3500 beat stick. I also run one Starlight Paladino just to tag your opponent out. It forces the tag out, like I said, something similar to Castel, just in case I don't have another Castel to go into. Starlight Paladino is also really good because if it's destroyed, you go +1. It also makes their monsters attack 0 and negates their effects. That's why it forces the tag out. I really do like Starlight Paladino. The thing is though, it does require light monsters, so it's a little bit more specific than something like Castel. But either way, I still see a lot of use out of it. I then also run the Utopia combo of 1 Utopia and then 1 Utopia the Lightning. As for my side deck, I run 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. This just allows me to stop the Pendulum matchup. If I'm going first, I'm definitely going to side Anti-Spell in. If I'm going second, I don't think I would. That's why I only run 2. I draw enough with my deck as is, so I really don't need to see more than one of them, and when I run 3, I usually see 2, and that just kind of sucks. I also run 2 Pot of Acquisitiveness, just in case my opponent likes to run something like Ghost Cherries, which is something that I do actually run myself. This also allows you to take your opponent's banished monsters and put them back because it doesn't specify your remove from play zone, so if your opponent does something like use their Buster and chain its tag out, you can use this on top of that, shuffle the 3 back, you draw 1, and then they don't get Buster's tag out because there's no banished monsters, and then they have an empty board, which you get pushed for game through, which is why I like to run this card at 2. It's actually really useful offensively in the mirror match. I also play 2 Gameciel. I was considering 3, but when I ran 3, I had too many in hand and it didn't allow me to get to my combo pieces fast enough. 2 Gameciel's fine. I don't want to have to special a Gameciel to my side of the field after specialing one on my opponents and then having to crash because I have no other play. It's really minus when you have to do that. That's why I only run 2. And then as my last card specifically for ABCs, I play 1 Book of Eclipse. Now for cards that you could side pretty much against ABCs regardless of whatever deck you're playing, I do 2 System Down. I do 2 Max Cs. Now, I don't like to main deck Max Cs. I feel like that actually slows me down. If I'm going first and I have a Max C in hand, I'm going to lose it because I go Bujintai Tsukiyomi. It's only good if I draw it first when I'm going second, which is a really specific scenario, which is why I don't actually like to run it. So I decided to side deck the 2 of them. Really useful because if I know I'm going second, I'm definitely going to put it in, take out something like an Upstart and put in a Max C, and it does twice as much work, which is why I like to run it. And then for the last cards you could run in pretty much any side deck is just 3 Ghost Cherries. Really useful card. I mean, it has so much utility, it's freaking ridiculous. 3 Ghost Cherries and then just 1 Toad because, my god, I hate every trap in the game deck. It's fucking ridiculous. So I decided to Ghost Cherries a Toad because that's the one card I really have a lot of trouble with. This is also pretty much the only thing I side in for the water matchup because they really try and focus on making Bahamut Shark into Tree Toad now, so Ghost Cherries actually has use in the water matchup finally. And the spicy tech that I mentioned before is Torque Toon Gear. It's a very versatile and actually really useful card in this deck. I'm finding a way to put it into my deck. I'm finding the extra deck space for the cards that I like to run with it because it's just so goddamn useful. You can use it to get back banished cards from Desires. You can use it to basically make Trish. There's a lot of plays you can do. Basically, all you have to do is have Union Hanger on field, which is really easy with this deck, and you pretty much lose if you don't have Union Hanger anyway. Then you do any play that pretty much gets 2 level 4 monsters on board, so you can do something like Gold Gadget, Special Summon, Sea Crush Wyvern, and then to that you use Union Hanger to actually equip Torque Toon Gear. What happens is when Torque Toon Gear is on the field and when it's equipped to a monster, that monster then becomes a tuner, so you can use these 2 monsters to make something like Psy-Frame Omega to bring back any banished pieces that you don't have in your graveyard that are slowing you down. You can use this to pretty much make ABC Dragon Buster by putting cards that you normally wouldn't have access to from your banished zone into the graveyard. It basically speeds up your plays if you don't have anything else you can make. It is a very useful play, and if you don't want to go into the Omega play, you can do something else. Torque Toon Gear has the ability to be special summoned to the field if it wasn't equipped this turn, so you can then just make Torque Toon Gear special summon itself, and then you can make something like Trishula. So there's a lot of plays. You could even do something like Mistworm, bounce 3 on your opponents, although I do like Trishula because if you can banish stuff in the mirror match, it's really useful. You can banish an equipped B, banish a C in the graveyard, and then they have less of a chance of going into Buster the next turn. And the fact that Trishula doesn't target means that you don't actually have to specify what you're banishing, so if your opponent chooses to tag out, it doesn't matter, you don't lose targeting. You still get to rip 1 from field, 1 from hand, and 1 from grave, which is really useful. You can literally banish the ABC Dragon Buster that they tag out with. It has a lot of functionality, and that's why I'm liking just this 1 spicy tech in the deck. This literal 1 card allows you to go into both these really useful cards, and that's why I'm considering running it myself. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or suggestions, don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click subscribe because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.